A very good day to Dr. Roslinda. My name is Sridharan, AN180194, and I would like to present the introduction of our project. Firstly, for project information, our project will be based in Muar Johor. The concept of building is Green Education Center. Building is 1 story high. It includes features such as electrochromic windows, smart bin, solar panel, and grey water diversion device. For estimation cost for this project is 1 million ringgit. The construction cost is 500,000 ringgit. Debt is 300,000 ringgit per year. Rent is 390,000 ringgit, and profit estimated is 7,200 ringgit. The estimate time for project to complete is within 2 years, and the project is estimated to fully complete within 1 year and 8 months. For the concept of this building, there are 3 factors that is the key element that makes this building a green building. The 3 factors are energy efficiency, water efficiency, and storage and collection of recyclables. For energy efficiency, electrochromic windows are to be installed on window panes. Electrochromic windows is actually a self-adhesive film that reduces sunlight transmission into the building. That the window panes are able to reduce up to 70% of sunlight into the building, thus reducing up to 26% of energy loads for electricity to illuminate the insides of the building. For storage and collection of recyclables, smart waste bins are to be installed inside and outside of the building. Smart waste building sorts waste and compresses it. It maximizes bin capacity by compressing the trash, and it also notifies the user via email and SMS whether the bin is full or not. It takes up less space for the amount of trash that is able to store, and of course more trash stored compared to conventional trash bins. For water efficiency, grey water recycling system are to be installed in the building. Grey water recycling system reuses grey water for non-potable activities. There are 2 activities that involve water usage, which are potable and non-potable activities. Non-potable activities does not need clean water. However, we are used to use clean water, thus it's actually a waste to do so. Grey water are actually water that comes from shower, washing machine, and dishwasher, which means water that does not mix with black water. Black water is water that is from toilet. So this grey water is actually still reusable. Thus, by using this grey water, we can avoid wasting clean water for non-potable activities such as flushing toilets and irrigation purposes.
My name is Nur Atika binti Muhammad Tijar, and I will continue our group presentation with work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure in project management and system engineering is a deliverable-oriented breakdown of a project into smaller components. According to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, MPBOK 5, defines that the work breakdown structure as a hierarchical decomposition of the total amount of work that the project team must complete in order to achieve the project objective and desired results. WBS is a cornerstone of an effective project planning, implementation, controlling, monitoring, and reporting. All the work contained within the WBS is to be identified, estimate, plan, and budget. Next, this is the work breakdown structure for Education Center in Pago area with the budget of 750,000 ringgit. It is divided into 6 components, which is project management, earthwork, building work, architecture, M&E, and infrastructure. Under project management, there are 5 task lists, which is performance bond or insurance, mobilization, demobilization, progress report, and testing and commissioning. The estimate cost for performance bond or insurance and mobilization is 15,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for demobilization is 12,000 ringgit and progress report is 18,000 ringgit. Next, under earthwork, there are three task lists, which is site clearing, excavation, backfilling and leveling, lastly piling work. The estimate cost for site clearing is 33,000 ringgit. For excavation, backfilling and leveling is 25,000 ringgit, and piling work is 76,000 ringgit. Next, under building work, there are also three task lists, which is substructure, superstructure, and roof trusses. The estimate cost for substructure is 85,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for superstructure is 95,000 ringgit and roof trusses is 45,000 ringgit. Next, under architecture, there are four task lists, which is wall, ceiling finishes, floor finishes, and painting. The estimate cost for a wall is 47,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for ceiling finishes is 31,000 ringgit. For floor finishes is 65,000 ringgit. And for painting, include internal and external, is 14,000 ringgit. Next, under M&E, there are five task lists, which is wiring, switch and sockets, communication installation, piping, and sanitary fixtures. The cost estimate for wiring is 30,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for switch and socket is 11,000 ringgit. Communication installation is 11,000 ringgit. Piping is 40,000 ringgit. And sanitary fixtures is 35,000 ringgit. Lastly, under infrastructure, there are two task lists, which is road and drainage, TNB, and water meter supply. We move to cost analysis. There are three costs used in order to carry out this project, which is preliminary cost, design cost, and construction cost. In preliminary cost, it has a value about 10% of the total construction cost, which is 75,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, for design cost, it has a value about 9.3% of the total construction cost, which is 69,750 ringgit. And lastly, the total construction cost is 750,000 ringgit.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Zaini bin Jari. Now I would like to continue our group presentation. Explain about the cash flow. Cash flow is the net value of the cash and cash related values, such as a check return or deposit or checks paid during a certain period of time. A positive cash flow shows that a firm has a trust in financial reserve, which enable to begin a new business, whereas a negative cash flow indicates that a company has a decline in its cash reserve. There are three methods of generating cash flow, including running the business, investing in it, and taking out the loan. Next is about cash flow diagram. Cash flow diagram is illustrate the source of destination of cash that affected by various costs and expense of a business enterprise. A timeline is a useful tool to measure the equivalent length of different tasks. Each period income of expense is plotted along the beginning and or ending with when it occurs decrease the money flowing out, means creating more money to be received in the form of income. These assets which receive funds were designated to go up income scale instead of going down. For the cash flow calculation in this project, estimate cost needed to finish the project is RM1 million ringgit, loan 35%, equity 65%, time estimation 1 year 6 months. and the actual cost of the project is actually RM 750,000 ringgit, and the time project finish in 1 year. The time remaining of the 6 months of the same year, which profit will be made, the future gain will be also estimated. For the calculation of the profit, first we take a look at our loan. Our loan is the 35%, which is RM 350,000, and the period of debt is 10 years with 6% of interest. So with the 30% amount of 30% with divided by 10, we got 35,000. That is the amount in for the 10 years, and we multiply 6% of interest, and we get RM 2,100. We added the amount, the 6% interest, then and the amount of divided by 10 years, which is we got RM 37,100. That is the amount we need to pay every year to the bank. So for the profit, we rent our education center for RM 50,000 per month, and we calculate for year is the RM 180,000 per year. So the profit will subtracted by the amount which need to pay to the bank is the 180,000 subtracted with 37,100. We get the profit is the RM 142,900 ringgit. For the calculation of inflow cash, we got two calculations, which is the equity plus debt. The RM 650,000 equity plus RM 350,000 debt, we got 1 million. And another calculation is equity plus profit. The amount is 650,000 plus 42,900 ringgit. We got 792,900 ringgit. For the outflow calculation, we take the amount of the actual cost, which is the 750,000 ringgit. As we can see here, this is our cash flow diagram. That's all for me. Thank you.
My name is Fahana. Matric number CN180070. So I will present about life cycle costing, LCC. What is a life cycle costing? It's a technique used to get a budget of amount of ownership cost. So it's also a methodology of economic analysis for all related costs such as constructing, operating, and maintaining a construction project over a defined duration of a time. So LCC, by optimizing LCC is an important element for determining complex decisions for a project and to solve life cycle cost with minimum value. With all aspects will be taken into account for a project. So for our LCC have a 5 stage. First stage is initial cost. Second stage is service cost. Third stage is preventative and maintenance cost. Fourth stage is operating cost, and final stage is disposal cost. For the characteristic of LCC, First is item or product of life cycle costing include tracing of costs and incomes of a item over a few calendar period all through its life cycle. Second is item of life cycle costing follows inquire about and a plan, inquire about and plan and improve cost and add up to size of the cost for each person item and compare with item income. The third is each stage of item life cycle possess distinctive traits and opening which will require distinctive key activities. And the fourth characteristic is item of life cycle may be amplified by finding modern payment or clients or by expanding the utilization of the show user. For the benefit of life cycle costing, first a straightforwardness and maintainability of future development costs. Second, the lifetime quality and the cost effectiveness of buildings would be progressed within the early stage of plan, which is early stage of design. And third is an effective LCC administration system give financial maintenance arrangement amidst the operation of the building. So this is formula of life cycle costing. Life cycle costing equals to capital plus lifetime operating cost plus to lifetime maintenance cost and plus to disposal cost and minus residual value.
My name is Maisara binti Zaharin and I will be presenting about the project finance analysis. So from the total estimation of 1 million ringgit, 35% of it is the debt that will be loaned from Bank Islam Malaysian Berhad, BIMB, with 6% of rate interest, while the remaining 65% it will be the equity that will be from the sales of our shares to the public and Bursa Saham. So for a company financing, all the costs are measurable of obtaining capital. In this project, the debt and equity financing are combined. Next, I will explain about the debt capital and equity capital, or can be known as debt financing and equity financing. So first, the debt capital is money used in a business that has been borrowed from outside sources for a specified length of time through the fixed interest financial securities. For example, taking out a loan from a bank with a specified rate interest. So next, I will explain about the equity financing. It refers to the portion of an organization's capital that is raised in exchange for a stake in the company, which are referred as equity shares. What is capital asset pricing model, or in short, CAPM? So the CAPM is a method for calculating the fair value of an investment based on the time value of money and the risk valued. So the calculation of equity by using CAPM formula is as shown as below. So the ER is the expected return from the share, while beta is the correlation with the market. The ERM is the expected return from the market, and lastly, RF is the risk-free rate. Next, I will be explaining about the project finance analysis calculation. As mentioned before, the debt ratio with the equity ratio is 35 and 65%, where the debt that are taken loan from the BIMB is RM 350,000 ringgit, while the equity is RM 650,000 ringgit, which the total is 1 million ringgit. So for the calculation of debt, it can be shown in the slides. So the interest rate is 6% and the years is 2 years. So when it is calculated, the calculation of debt, the RD is 6%. So for the calculation of equity using the CAPM formula, it can be seen it is 20%. So next, this is the WACC calculation. So as shown in the slide, the formula where the E is the market value of the equity, D is the market value of debt, RE is the cost of equity, RD is the cost of debt, while the T is the tax rate. So the tax rate is 10%, and when all the values are being inserted into the calculation, into the formula, the WACC value is 14.89%. Next, I will be presenting about the net present value, which is NPV. So what is NPV? NPV is the sum of all future cash flows, which included positive and negative value that is counted to represent. So the NPV type of intrinsic valuation that widely used in financing and accounting is to determine the worth of a company, investment security, capital project, new venture, and or anything else that involves cash flows. So the formula below shows how to calculate the NPV, where the T is the time of cash flows, I is the discount rate, RT is the net cash inflow minus to outflow during a single period. So as shown in this slide, the RT is RM 42,000 ringgit and 900, which the I is 14.89%, and the T is the 10 years that we took out the loan from the bank. For the debt that we took from the BIMB bank, we took the loan for a 10 years period, so we have to pay back them in the 10 years period. So as shown in the table in the slide, we have to calculate all the 10 years value. So the NPV value that we got is RM 646,000 ringgit, 63 ringgit and 62 cents. So if the project with net present value is larger than 0, it shows that the project is gaining profits. Therefore, this project is accepted as the NPV is RM 646,000 ringgit, 63 and 62 cents.